Hey there, I'm back with some more Nerf news. Do I like Star Wars? Yes. Do I like Nerf in Star Wars? Yes. Did I like the Mandalorian Nerf Star Wars blaster? No, I did not. The Amban phase blaster was not a good time. My dislike for that blaster is the main reason I'm doing a news YouTube update so soon after just trying one out. When I saw that they were putting out another Hasbro Pulse limited blaster, this time for Boba Fett, I wanted to chime in. My first experience with Hasbro Pulse really was more with the Aliens blaster. I did pre-order that. I was excited about it. I was like, ooh, this is fun. We're getting a premium thing. It's going to be kind of rare. And I kind of missed out on the whole Mandalorian Amban phase blaster thing. And I was okay with that because honestly, I didn't like the look of it. The all white, it didn't really appeal to me. So I was okay to have missed it. Then it turns out I didn't miss it at all. People who pre-ordered got it way after me. I decided to get it on a whim because I really wanted to review it, and I had it in a couple days. To me, that's very misleading about what this was supposed to be. Now, apparently, from my understanding of what I've read, maybe a lesson has been learned from that. New Hasbro Pulse limited blasters will be a little bit more exclusive, lower runs. Time will tell. But from the cheap plastics to the silver Sharpie detailing, that Mandalorian blaster was not a good time. And you know what? Performance-wise, I didn't have a whole lot of problem. Whatever. It's throwing a dart through 3 feet of PVC pipe, basically. That's fine. I didn't really care about that. My problem was with how cheap it felt and looked, and the ergonomics. It was bad. I think it was bad even for a prop. I have higher hopes for the Alien blaster, and I maybe have higher hopes for the new Boba Fett blaster. Boba Fett's EE-3 blaster looks pretty good. Obviously, it doesn't have show-accurate colors. It's Nerf. They have to make it look a bit less like real steel. That's fine. At least for this one, they went with a Boba Fett palette. I actually quite like the colors that they chose for this one. I guess what I'm saying is I think the bones are good. I like the design of it. I like the look, certainly in the well-lit studio photos. My problem is more a matter of trust after having that Mandalorian blaster. That thing was almost $200 Canadian after taxes and everything were said and done. That's a lot of money. I would almost expect some little bits of metal detailing, or certainly plastics and materials that felt superior to the Dragon Power blasters that came out this year. But that's not what we had. We had a very flimsy product that felt cheap, didn't perform, not that that was the main point of it, and didn't even really do its job as a prop. It wasn't something I could even hold comfortably and feel like it looked the part. So this blaster does look a little more the part, I think. I'm worried when I look at this blaster and the paint and everything, I'm worried that the real life equivalent, based on my experience, is not going to live up to these studio photos. Even those studio photos, I think I see that same silver paint marker giving me details on Boba Fett's blaster. So that makes me a little nervous. The other part that's working against it for me is, why on earth would I pre-order? I know they've said they're doing less, but I just don't know that I believe it. I'm not the most diehard Boba Fett fan on the planet, so I can probably roll the dice that I will be able to get one if I so decide, if it looks like people are liking them. Maybe I won't. Maybe they will have made them more limited. Time will tell. But I don't know that I want to fund a blaster that's not coming out for another year, more than a year. It's too far away. It's not Kickstarter. I don't mind kickstarting a creator or someone who's trying to crowdsource a cool idea or something they don't have the resources to do. I think that's great. I think that's fun. The Shelby Destroyer, I was interested in taking a chance in that. There was another flywheel blaster that I kickstarted, and unfortunately they didn't make their goal. I can't remember the name of it. I'll put it in the notes after when I think of it. I'm happy to roll those dice on, I feel like I'm rolling the dice on people. This feels like I'm rolling the dice on a giant company. It's a giant company that has given me a lot of fond memories and that I have some love for. But I just don't know about this whole limited series. Really hoping Aliens turns out well. Let's focus more on this blaster. Let's take a closer look. The shells and the darts look like they've kind of been designed to feel like one singular unit, and they do look good. I do like that brassy coloring. Those would look cool on a belt or something like that if you were cosplaying it. I love all the little details in around the trigger and behind the blaster. The scope, I really, really hope, and I don't have high hopes, I hope the scope, you can actually see through it. In the Mandalorian Amban Phase blaster, you could not see through the scope at all. Now, scopes in Nerf are not particularly useful, but I think it's fair to expect at least a grade of plastic that you can see through. I know this is probably a prototype one, but that paint, although it looks really good from far, looks like it might be far from good. I will say I do really like the box. That's really cool. I think this is a way cooler box than the one that the Mandalorian blaster came in. I didn't actually like the art. Totally personal preference. I didn't really like the style of that one. This one I think looks really cool. It's really hard to go wrong when you have Boba Fett's iconic look. Here's another look at that cartridge system. I think this is potentially really neat. It looks like it could be pretty quick to slot those in there. I'm guessing it fires one at a time, which would make sense. Again, I know this is not a final one, but the paint's not very good on this. If I was mocking this up, I probably would have touched this up in Photoshop a bit since this isn't a real version anyway. Just when you look along a lot of the edges and see how the paint is, it just doesn't look great. So that worries me. It kind of looks from some of the articles that I've read that maybe they will not be doing what they did with the Mandalorian blaster, where they make a cheaper version without the electronics, without the lights and sounds that they sell to people, which I think is a good idea if you're going to have a limited blaster. Making a knockoff of your own limited blaster for half the money seems not great. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard not to feel a little bit gross about this stuff if you're making these things that are very difficult for some people to have who might love them. But I mean, when you're talking about collector's items, that's just kind of how it is, I guess. I guess we just all have to be okay with that. Or maybe we don't. I don't know. Am I getting too controversial? We'll see. Another cool thing about this blaster, I can't see any reason that the performance of this one wouldn't be okay. It's not massively, it doesn't have a massively long barrel. It looks like it's using a pretty tried and true cylinder system. Well, even if the reloading mechanism is different. I mean, Nerf has been doing firing from cylinders for a long time. So I have high hopes about that part of it. You know, just hitting that Nerf Elite 70 feet per second, that would be more than fine. You wouldn't hear a peep out of me. It would also be nice if it was made out of good enough materials that if you wanted to mod it, you could. I know for me, for my Aliens blaster, I am thinking I probably will mod that, but we'll see. Maybe not. To me, the detailing in the stock borders on looking a little bit like a cheap detail. It looks like it could probably use either a bit more detail or maybe to be out of a different material. We'll see how that translates. It's going to be interesting to see what this blaster is like to hold. When you look at the handle of that and then you see those connection points to the stock, it's going to be very interesting to see how your thumb actually fits over that blaster and how comfortable it will be to use. I won't mind if it's uncomfortable. I just hope that it's actually something you can hold on to, unlike the Mandalorian Amban Phase blaster, which I just keep slagging, but it deserves it. I don't like to jump on a bandwagon, but I'm on it. I absolutely love all the detailing around the trigger area. I think that looks beautiful. I like the bones of what I'm seeing in these product photos a lot. I'm just wondering if it's premium. It's interesting to me that so many Nerf blasters that I have, when they have a faux mechanical piece on the barrel or on a stock, are actually a different piece of plastic fitted together, so it comes out and it feels a little bit different. Some of these look like they're part of one mold, which can make things feel cheaper. I mean, it's cheaper to produce, but it makes it feel cheaper too. So it'll be interesting to see if that's what they do in the final one, or if they're different pieces that kind of fit together, so that if there is a piece on that yellow piece on the barrel, does that come out through an outer shell so it feels like a different piece, a separate actual piece of electronics or machinery, or is it all one mold and you're going to have a sloppy paint line around the base? I do have to say I like those gold darts. Look, I've been pretty negative on this one, but I feel like when life gives you a $200 lemon, you make as much lemonade as you can for as long as you can, and that's what I'm doing. I have high hopes for this blaster. I have high hopes for the Aliens blaster. Every company makes a misstep along the way. I'm guessing from everything they heard from other YouTubers and fans, and whenever I go to their Facebook page for their product announcements, I am guessing that they took some of that to heart, and I do have a feeling things are going to turn around a little bit for the Hasbro limited blasters that we're going to see. That's my optimistic hope. I think there's going to be some lessons learned. And right off the bat, if nothing else changes, I just think that the color scheme and look and feel of this is much more in the right direction than that all white and orange blaster that we saw before. So this one actually looks like proper proportions, looks like it would fit an adult, looks pretty movie accurate. I'm more optimistic about this one, but I would have a hard time recommending anyone actually do that pre-order. We'll see if I do. So there you have it. If you want to pre-order this blaster, it's $110. I'll throw a link down below. Not that you'd have a hard time finding it. It is shipping next spring. Not this spring, next spring. So far away as to make you wonder why. Why not just do it? You know you're going to sell enough of these. Just do it. Do it and we'll buy them and people will line up. Cause a frenzy. Why are you doing this so far away? I don't understand. Maybe there's a brilliant concept I'm not aware of. Anyway, if you're looking for something cool next spring, maybe this will be it for you. I hope you enjoyed another installment of news. I'm going to be back to building blasters and reviewing blasters with my next video. I have all the parts for the new Meeker blaster that works with Mega XL and fires short darts. I have all those parts almost printed. I'm just printing a couple more barrels so I can go through, do a mod guide, and do a review. And I'm very excited about that. I have a couple more shorts coming up where I'm going to talk about some more thrifted blasters. And I have a couple mini reviews in the hopper, both with the kids and with my friend Matt. I hope you enjoy when I let other people in on the fun to do a bit of a review. And when the kids ask me, hey, can I review something? I'm never going to say no. I think it's great. I love seeing what they think firsthand. I think that's awesome. I think that's what it's all about. Until next time, this has been your second edition of Nerf News, and here's to a better future for Hasbro Pulse Limited.